Big dog. What up, everybody? Welcome to Coffee Hour. My name is Paul Abernathy, your host. It's the only show on the internet dedicated to the electrician. Welcome. Hope you had a great week so far. We're almost midway. We got another day to go to get midway on that sinusoidal waveform of life. But I appreciate you taking the time out of your morning to join me here on Coffee Hour so that we can get our electrician on, we can get our code on, we can talk about all kinds of things here on Coffee Hour. Again, the floor is yours. You have the comment section. It's on all of the platforms. The YouTube platform, Master the NEC, or Coffee Hour with Paul. You also have Fast Tracks Tube, which is what I recommend you go to. There you go. Got our promo card right there. Go watch it on Fast Tracks Tube. Share it with all your folks. Let them know about it. But you can also watch over on LinkedIn as well. If you want to connect with me in the business sense of the word, then you can look for my name, Paul W. Abernathy, over on LinkedIn. I'd love to connect with you. That's the business side of the company that will connect with you there. Also over on Facebook on our Master the NEC group. If you want to join us over there, always posting stuff and usually updates, like if there's a cancellation or a change or something like. Typically, I'll post that over on Facebook. So make sure you follow us over on Master the NEC on Facebook. It's basically just facebook.com/Master the NEC. I believe that's what it is. So anyway. Appreciate you joining us. Let's get into talks today, what we're going to talk about. So first things first, we did get some of the Amp Bank thermal cameras. If you didn't pick them up in the TikTok shop, you got a great deal. And they still might be in the shop if you're over on TikTok and check our showcase. May still have the deal running. I'm just not profiling it anymore. Because again, I have a love-hate relationship with TikTok, and I don't like to support them. But anyway, we'll be talking about this in some episodes. But again, to learn how to use all the little features in here, the Evicity, all the other type of little nuances in here, what you can change, what you should change on the fly, all of that will be covered in a video course that's part of our thermal imaging course. Okay, so that's where that'll be covered. In that, we will also be introducing the benefits of using a double laser, because a single laser will work too for just a spot check. But a double laser application in order to always calibrate and make sure your unit's working right. But you really shouldn't need this, but it's there. Essentially does the same thing as this, is that this is another set of eyes, and this is a little bit better because this does a little broader scanning. But we'll get you up to speed on how you should use that as an electrician. All the good stuff. So today we're gonna talk about the last 2 weeks before your exam, or if you're taking an exam. So if you're not taking an exam, don't worry. We're going to look at some code questions today to kind of keep your juices flowing. I will show you how to dissect a question today. One of the things that I tell people, one of the things I specialize in is teaching people how to prepare for an electrical exam. And a shout out to Mike Holt. Mike called me last night. Just wanted to talk. He's just checking up on my wife and how we're doing. Again, I can't say enough that there's so many people out there that think me and Mike don't get along, or me and other educators don't get along, and it's total opposite. We all say things that just say things, but at the end of the day, we're a pretty tight community. So, to Mike, thanks for calling. I enjoyed the conversation last night. So, at the end of the day, we're all just, one big educating family, and we're trying to teach somebody. And he has the same kind of mission that I do, as we just do not want people out there teaching garbage, that type of thing. So, but he was checking on my wife too. And I thought that was pretty awesome. And hopefully we'll catch up together here in NECA. So that's the other thing. I'm going to be in Chicago this coming up weekend. And I'll be there at the Prismium booth. I don't know what the booth number is. I probably should know, but I do not, because I'm just going to be there. But I'm there in the afternoon on Saturday. I'm there in the afternoon, maybe on Sunday. I don't know why they got me afternoon shifts. And then the morning with the morning show, the morning session on Monday. So, yeah. So we should be there. Have a great time. If you want to stop by the booth, come by and stop by the booth, that type of thing. So anyway, as always, I live vicariously through you. We've been getting a steady stream of people sending us emails and texts about their success in their course and how they love it and how they love the features and everything like that. And they feel like they get more out of it than just buying a book or something like that. And yeah, you do get more out of it. So again, I definitely appreciate that everybody, feels like they're getting a lot of value out of our courses and our programs, things like that. So if you're interested in a really good exam prep, and if you're interested in post licensing, means you just want to have a good expert in your pocket. That's what the Mastering the NEC course is. So that's a little different. It strips out, it's cheaper, but it strips out the exam prep stuff. So it's just like a resource for you when you're in the field and you need to go look up stuff. It's just nice to have it there. Plus, you get the interact feature where you can communicate with us and ask questions and upload a picture and things like that. So get all that stuff as well. So anyway, do me a favor, folks, when you get a chance, just go right down in the comments and let me know who you are, where you're from, what you got going on, which questions are on your mind. If you're preparing for an electrical exam and you have questions that you're afraid to ask, like how should you study, how should you prepare, what you should be doing. Maybe you're studying with somebody else's program, and that's fine. Maybe you want to know what you need to do because their programs are probably not as structured as ours is. So you're thinking, gosh, it has me all over the place. How do I get it back on track? Because I got a test in a couple of weeks. So that type of thing. So more than happy to do that. Now, as far as dissecting questions, that can be used anytime, whether you're in the field or preparing for an exam. So that really doesn't matter. So we'll go over that a little bit as well too. But one thing I did want to share with everybody is I promised you I would, and tell me if you don't think this is easier to navigate. You ready? Are you folks ready? All right, let's go look. This is the new website. Look. So on our website, you see you now have these nice icons that you can click that say exactly what it is. Here's the 2023 NEC bundle, and here's the online store. What's up, Red Dog? Glad to have you in here. Here's the exam prep. So you just simply click here. How's that look? That make it look so much nicer? When I go down to a mobile view, it basically just goes down to this, and you can just scroll it and click on what you're looking for. There's the Master the NEC course. There you go. Basically just better graphics. If you look in the background, I actually put circuit boards on the background. Okay, just kind of, there's your exam. So you just click it, you get exam prep. If you want the online store, people said, Paul, make getting to the store easier. Well, there it is right there. All right, click right there, and there's the bundle. So if I click to the store, I click on this icon, and it'll take you to the store, and that's where you see the laser, the thermal imaging, and right there's your thermal imager. Right there, you see our price, right? And if you want it, you just click on the link to go to it. There it is, right? You can, boom, and you see that we have 6 in stock. That's all we have in stock right now. There's 6 of them, and this is going to be the premier one that we use for all of our training. Now, there's a couple reasons why. One, because it's cost effective, but 2, it has all the features of a high end one. Okay, IP65. It's ruggedized. You can drop it. It's designed with the features. It's USB-C. Your images can be offloaded onto the computer. It has a 240 TGI scale. It's all you need without having to spend a fortune. Okay, and every electrician should have one of these in their pack, because if you go to a service call and you get done early and you're like, well, do you want me to do an evaluation? I can use this and evaluate your panel, look at terminals, look at loads, look at things. There's just so many ways that you can use this, service calls, this type of thing. So you'd be surprised what you can find inside of a wall by thermal scanning it, that type, especially in areas where you're getting ready to punch a hole, and you might be able to scan it and get an idea, because conductors put off heat, and it will change. So it allows you to maybe do some extra scanning and things like that. So anyway, there's many uses in our course that we're going to have. In the course, we are going to be going into extreme detail about how to use this. And if you work at a facility that does maintenance we have a module that is just for you, just for maintenance, for motors, transformers, all kinds of things. And really, it's got practical examples as well, right? Because again, I think that the important thing is I can show you a bunch of pictures of some illustrations with the color scales, and you're like, oh, no, duh, right? But at the end of the day, you need to know the verbiage. And I think that's so important, is understanding the verbiage. One of the other modules we have in the course is that we're going to be going over sales, because again, one of the things that people struggle with, and one of the things I specialize in when it comes to customer relations, like in the field, is how to educate the customer using actual data to have them be a no-brainer. They're like, well, this makes sense. Okay, so one call will pay for this thing. Okay, and then you've got it there handy. I recommend you get a nice little box for it so it looks nice. But it does come in a box that has a foam lining, and you can keep it in that if you want. So, but anyway, I see some of you got this already, and you're eager to learn how to work it. Okay, so we're going to teach you how to work it. Okay, this right here, I think it is $179 on our website. But if you go to TikTok, if you're a TikToker, I think in our profile, I think you can still get it a little cheaper. But these comes directly from us, that type of thing. So we tried to work a deal with the manufacturer, but they just totally ignored us. So we still have to go through our distributor. So that's why we're, the middleman is not cut out with us. So, but when you do buy it from us, again, you are supporting us. So again, I appreciate it. You don't have to, but we do appreciate it when you do. Okay. It's over on our website. You should be able to see it. And it'll be under the website. It'll be under, what did I just show you? Right here. You go up to this. If you're on your phone, you just click on the little dingy here and go to our store. And you're going to scroll down and you'll see it right there. You just click on it and it'll take you where you need to be, right here, right there. Right. And you can read all about it. You can add it to the cart from right here, or you can click here and go even deeper into it. And you can look at some images. Like here's an image right there. Right. See how it shows the different color scales, right? Down here, it shows you the distance, like 0.3 is going to be about 12 inches. 0.6 is going to be about 6 feet. Things like that are pretty close. So, and this is what we show you, all these settings and what you should be, because there is different settings that you need to be on, that type of thing, right? And then, of course, you got a wide scale. We love the accuracy, okay? And that's what sets this unit out amongst others that you would pay probably close to more like $500 or $600 for. And there's your scales: iron red, black hot, white hot, red hot, and rainbow. I personally, of my scales that I like right here, I like the iron red the most. That's just my favorite of the palettes that you have, that type of thing. It comes with all this, right? And so there you go, right there. And it's in a 25 hertz scale, so it does have good imaging, that type of scenario. And do me a flavor. Anytime you're on our site and you see this, share, make sure you share it. Let people know, whatever it is, whether it's an article or whatnot or whatever it is. Okay. All right. Let me go on and get this back to where it needs to be. Okay. Hold on for that. Let me get this where it needs to be. Okay. All right. So we're back out to the main page. And of course, there you can see right here what you got going on. Of course, you still have our hat clips and all down here on the right. You see our little hat clips, these right here. Okay, there you go. All right. All right. Anyway, enough of that. That's just, I just wanted to show you. This is how you contact us up here. Simple, easy peasy. How do you get tickets for Nika? Got to go to Nika. Just type it. I can't give tickets away, bro. I'm just a guest there for Prismio and Encore. But the ticket, I think you have to pay for the show or to get into the show. And you can do just the showcase where you walk the show floor rather than attend the training. But they have a lot of training that's going on there. So if you need to get some continuing ed credits and things like that, I don't do those things anymore. I think Mike is actually maybe teaching something there. I don't do that anymore because I can't, because I work with Encore Prismium. They demand that I'm at the booth all the time. So at some point, if I retire, then I might be back to going to these shows and I might be back to teaching something. But at the end of the day, I'm really at these shows because They want me there to shake hands and kiss babies and things like that. So there you go. So that's what I'm be doing on that type of scenario. All right. All right. Let's see here. I don't know. I don't know. Those are all questions I don't know. You'd have to address them at Nika. So I don't know what the Nika. Google it. Nika 2025 is what I'd say. Nika Show 2025, and they'll have a website that'll tell you everything. Okay. You should. Yeah, I should put a free. Yeah, right, Adam. I should put a thermal camera on the wheel. I'm going to give away a thermal camera. Right. Right. I know all of you come for the free stuff. All right. So let's go on and get back here. So, all right, we're back here at this here. All right. So, let's see. Spin. Oh, forgot David was in the room. I didn't do a room check yet. Okay. All right. Let's get. All right. Let's do a little bit of thanks to everybody for joining us here. What we got here is we got Josh the Sparky. Glad to have you in here, Josh. Appreciate you. We have Paul Montoya, no relation to Mr. Montana. Let's see. What's up, David? Good morning. Glad to have you here. Pin is straight. Represent. Got to represent. Oh, Paul says he got his Ant Bank thermal. He can't wait. Excited to see how it works. Absolutely. We're going to be doing some videos and talking about this type of thing and how to just. Here's the thing. It doesn't have more features than you need. It has just the right. That's the other reason that when we were evaluating them, is that we needed something that was simple to use. Simple. And this thing is you can't get any simpler. You can whip through the different screens. You just have to understand what each one of them means. And okay, eviscicity, that changes depending on the surface. And here's a tip for you, Paul. If you ever go and you're doing shiny like lugs in a panel or a bus bar or copper and you're doing a temperature, just put some electrical tape or take a Sharpie or a dry erase black and make a big mark on the lug so that when you're scanning it, it doesn't reflect and it actually will scan. And what will happen is the little heat signature will jump over to the little black dot because that doesn't have any reflectivity on it. And that's how you get the most accurate reading. So that's a little tip. We'll talk about that in your course. But yeah, you always want to get away that shininess because thermal cameras don't work real well with reflective surfaces. Does all right with plastics and things like that, cover plates, switches. That's not a problem. It's the real shiny stuff that it wants to shine back. Now, the lugs are all dull, which most of the 6,000 aluminum lugs are, then it's not going to be a problem. But that is a tip. Okay. And if you're doing the breakers as a preliminary check on a breakers, that would make sure that you're in the plastic mode, which is probably like a 0.95. Whereas when you go to the actual lugging or looking at the terminations, one really quick change and you can change the settings on it, that type of thing. So we talk about all that. Let's see here. What else? Do I have anything I want to talk about? No, not much. But one of the things to remember and people forget is that aluminum has a different setting, for example, than it would be copper. And then plastic is different setting. And you have to understand all the settings, right? So anyway, we go over all that in the training. What's up, Brandon? Glad to have you here. Thanks for joining the show. What's up, Manny? Welcome in the house. That's what I'm talking about. Cray Cray's up in the house. Welcome, Cray Cray. Good morning, Adam. Thanks for joining us here. Okay. Yeah. Okay. He missed. He wanted me to talk about the circumference. Okay. Circumference, diameter, radius. Yeah. He likes it. He remembers it. What's up, dude? Pin. It's straight now. I don't pay attention, man. I got to pay attention. What's up, Rob? Welcome over on the tube, watching over on the tube. What's up, Justin R? Justin R is also watching over on the tube. That's awesome. What do we got here? Who else we got here with the shout outs? Chris, thanks for joining us. Also watching over on the tube. Dude, What's up, John? Good morning. Watching us over on the YouTube channel. Let's see here. Good morning, all. Santana. Good morning. Glad to have you here. What's up, Pedro? Glad to have you. Pedro's in the house. We got some hashtags going out. We got Red Dog.
Woo, 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 woo. Big dog.
Welcome. Welcome. Upgraded site. Yes. New look. Some neat little icons that makes it a little easier to navigate, I think. Just looks a little better. What is up, Robert? Glad to have you here, my friend. Let's see here. What do we got here? What do we got? Good morning, Charles. How much does a camera cost? Again, $179 on our site. Probably can get it cheaper somewhere else. What's up, Angel? Good morning. Glad to have you here. Let's see. What else do we got? I don't know how to do tickets to Nika. I'm sorry. You may be able to pay at the door. I don't know. What's up, Greg? Glad to have you here. I'm skipping you, Adam. I'm not putting an imager on the wheel. Sorry. What's up, Angel? I did put these pins on the wheel, though. The hat clips. There is a free hat clip on the wheel, drawing for some hat clips. What's up, Petey? Glad to have you here. Okay. All right, so let's talk about, and open questions, you can bring them up. Let's talk about what we would have if we had, and I'm going to change something real quick. Let's talk about what it would be if we were to do the last 2 weeks before an exam. Okay, let's talk about what that would be. The last 2 weeks before we actually got to an exam. Okay, let's talk about what that would look like when we went to that. So let's go on and think about how that would look. Okay. All right. So the last 2 weeks before an exam, let me hold on here. Let me get switched here. Okay. Transition. I'm checking a new feature here just so I know what's going on here. So the last 2 weeks before somebody does an exam, one of the key things is what is your preparation mode? And if you've been studying in a program, then you should be in good shape. If you put in the time and it's structured, right? And you're structured it to a point where it's not only just talking code questions. You heard me say that before. Now, if you're in the last 2 weeks, having code questions is good way to get you that last 2 weeks confidence, right? Because you're getting down to 2 weeks, and hopefully you've studied. Now, if you wait to study and then you just buy code questions or get a code database or buy somebody's book of questions, let me give you some advice. First, don't spend any money on somebody that's selling you 100 questions. Now, we sell 100 question one. That's great. But I'm going to tell you, for the price, for the value, you need to get more for your money, right? So the reason I say that is I want to show you what you should be doing if you're in the last 2 weeks and you don't have a structured exam prep course. Let's say you don't have one, you've been flipping through the code book, and you're like, I don't need your course, Paul. I don't need your help. Fine. I get it. But what you should be doing is come over here, and then you go right here to the NEC question database right here. Click on that. And here you're going to see questions. Here's your journeyman exam for the 2020. This is the masters for the 2020 NEC. This is the 2023 journeyman collection. And this is the 2023 master collection. $119 freaking dollars. Okay. But here's the deal. You're going to, not only are you going to get over 750 questions, right? You're also going to get other things like some quizzes in there, some mini videos. You're going to get a little glossary of terms in that package. You're going to get a little more than just code questions. Okay. Now this is downloadable. So once you purchase it, you need to download, and explains how to get access to it. All right. So it's right there. And then of course, you should always check your state. We give you a link right here that says before you buy the 2020 or 2023, make sure you know what your state is testing on. There's a little link here where it'll send you an area where you can go check what it is. But always get back here. So at the end of the day, this right here is the database of questions. Okay. So the database of questions, right, is going to be a collection of questions that are well populated, that are well known questions, and they're structured in a way that is designed to test your skills. And there's a lot of them, and they're broken down into samples and in finals. So the samples, I recommend you just answer and take your time and learn. But if you get down to the last 2 weeks before an exam, now it's time to start timing yourself. Okay, the last 2 weeks. Now, when I say time yourself, I don't mean use the timers that are on the screen, right? So I'll show you exactly what I mean, what I'm saying when it comes to that, right? I'll show you exactly what I mean is here. Let me go back here. So in this question here, you'll see there's a timer here, okay, right here. I don't recommend you always do that. I don't recommend you time yourself for the entire exam. Okay, what I recommend you do is get your phone out, all right? And when you have a phone, then I recommend you set a 2-minute timer on your phone so it sits right out in front of you. And the reason for that is because when you're doing a timer like that, once it times down, the alarm goes off. So it's beep, 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 whatever. It's in your clock feature on most of your mobile phones. And then it'll still continue to keep ticking. So the reason I like that is because it lets you see that you went past the 2 minutes and now it's starting to go to the negative, and it lets you know, okay, I'm struggling with that question. But at the end of the day, leading up to the last 2 weeks or so, you shouldn't be worrying about the timer. You should be just dissecting the hell out of a question. I mean, take a question, get your money's worth, look at every piece and dissect it. For example, when we're looking at it, we go to this question here. Then one of the things that we want to look at, and you know what? Let me go on and bear with me, guys. Let me go on and see if I can't make this a little bit better for you guys. Hold on with me here. See if I can't make this a little easier on the eyes. Maybe, or maybe not. Okay. I don't know how that looks. That's a little easier on the eyes. Maybe. Does it look a little better? Okay. Anyway, so when you look at a question like this one, you're like, what's up, Beto? Glad to have you here. We look at a question like this one on an exam, oops, my camera, or in the field or in the real world. If I'm running into this situation, it says where one or more lighting outlets are installed for interior stairways. Okay, so I'm going from first floor to second floor. It says there shall be a wall switch at each floor level and landing level that includes an entryway to control the lighting outlets, where the stairway between floor levels has risers, blank risers or more. Okay, so this has to do, when I look at a question like this, I'm thinking, okay, so this has to do with the lighting outlet requirements. And when you think about the lighting outlet requirements, in my mind, I'm also thinking, well, isn't that kinda in the same location where you have the receptacle outlets? It's a different thing, right? It's a different thing. Dave says 4. Okay. Dave says 4. Let's see here. Dave, we're going to put Dave on the spot here. Okay. So you're thinking, okay, so, all right. So at the end of the day, might want to rethink that one a little bit, David. Maybe just the thought. Maybe you want to rethink it, maybe. So if I'm thinking about this, I'm thinking, okay, between first floor and second floor, I have to have a wall switch at each floor level because I have an exit at the first entry and I have an exit at the second entry. What's interesting is if I go upstairs and I have a landing and then it turns and it goes up another set of stairs, that the landing doesn't require a switch because you're not going to need to turn the light off because you're in the middle of the transition. Well, that's common sense, right? You're just going from point A to point B. However, if I was going up a landing, it was 3 stories, right? There you go, David. You're tracking. So I go up the steps and I go to a landing, and by chance that landing has an exit, means I can walk off and go into another room, then it's not just a landing, it's a floor. and it has an exit. So then I would have to have a switch at that level too, right? So so again, when you think about the switches, there's a certain number of steps that are going to trigger a mandatory switching at the different levels, right? Okay. So you think about that, you're going, okay, all right. But I'm trying to convey to you the mental picture of this is a lighting outlet. Okay. I'm going to put a luminaire is I'm going to mount onto lighting outlet. Okay. So that also tells those educators out there that don't understand what the definition of an outlet is. They think, oh, well, that should be clearer in the code. No, it shouldn't be. It's perfectly where it should be, because an outlet, lighting outlet, receptacle outlet, switch outlet, that's a point in the system where the hardwired building system, okay, is connecting from that point that's accessible to be able to connect other things to it, like utilization equipment or devices like switches or receptacles, which are devices that actually will mount in the outlet box. Now, by putting a receptacle device in that outlet box, it now becomes a receptacle outlet box, a lighting outlet, or you could even venture to say, and the code doesn't say it this way, but you could say a luminaire outlet box. Okay. Don't get me started. I don't want to submit any public inputs for that next time. I'm okay with the way it is. Lighting outlet box. See how that works? So even today, there's some people out there that don't convey it correctly. You get what I'm saying? And that's okay as long as we all know what we're talking about. So that type of thing. So when you look at this question, that's why it's so important to be able to dissect that out, right? And know exactly what it's talking about. Okay. All right. So now, as far as finding this in the National Electrical Code, we could go to, let's see here. Let's go right here, and I will send us over to the NEC. Okay. We're open the magic. He was thinking of the handrail. You talk about the gap between the handrail where you got to put your hand between it. Yeah. That's why I don't do that stuff, bro. That's why I'm only electrical. There was a time when I was ahead of that jurisdiction and I had to do that kind of stuff too. No more. I don't do that crap anymore. No, thank you. Let me see if I can get this a little more sized out real quick. Hold on, folks. Let me see if I can get this sized out properly. Hold on here. Let me see if I can size this out properly. I want it to look okay. I'm sorry. I should have done this ahead of time, right? I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, Paul, you're so unprepared. This is true. This is true. I ain't, well, it ain't going to let me. It ain't going to let me. That's all I can get out of it, folks. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, no. No, it's not going to let me do it. Dude. I don't know. I'm struggling today, guys. Let's see here. Let's see if it will let me go there. Hold on for a second. Dude, I hate doing this crap on the fly. And I know y'all hate it too. So, but you never know. Sometimes I can get it. I shouldn't, I didn't plan on doing it this way. All right, that's good enough. Y'all get it. Y'all get the point. Right? Paul, why are you constantly toying with crap? Okay. Anyway, it doesn't matter. All right, so let's go over here. So, all right, so look. So what we've got here is a couple things. Because so if you think about this question, so let's dissect this one, because this is a good time for us to do a little mini dissection. Okay, so obviously this is talking about switches, locations for lighting outlets. Okay, so dissecting this, you could look under lighting outlets. You could look under outlets, right? You could look under wall switch in the code. You could look under stairways, okay, that type of thing. All those things, as you're learning, there you go, Manny. As you're learning, when I say dissect something and I say structured and you wonder what's the best way to study, don't let any educator out there tell you differently because they don't know what they're talking about. I've been doing it probably longer than they've been alive. So the reality, and that's a sad thing that I have to say, but what you do is that you want to, what's up, Alex? Glad to have you here. I see you, Frank. So what you have to do is think, all right, how would I do this in the index? If you didn't know where to go, okay? So we can go to the index. And let's assume you didn't know where to go. All right. So one of the things that I could go to, like I said, is let's go to stairways. That just seems like the most obvious, right? So let's just go and see if there's anything. If I was in an exam and I didn't know where to go, then I go to stairways. Let's just see if there's anything under stairway. All right. So this is called dissecting, by the way, for those that are new. This is what you should do to get better at the code. So I'm going to go down and see under S's. And let's see here. And we'll see here. Okay, little PQRS. So let's see here. Okay, stage, stairwell, chairlifts. Let's see here. So I don't, unless I'm blind, and y'all might see it again. I don't like the electronic versions of these things. I don't see anything that says anything under stair. Okay, I don't really see anything under that. Okay, so that rules out. You know that's better. You now forever know that you don't go for stairway. You're not going to go under stairs, right? Makes sense. That's why we do this. And so the next thing I was thinking, well, let me go to lighting outlet because we're talking about the lighting outlet, right? So let's see if there's anything under L. Bear with me because again, it works slowly for me versus you probably already there. We could look under outlets, and here's that's outline lighting. So let's just go, and here's outlet real quick. We're already here. Here's outlets, and here's lighting. See, there says lighting outlets. So that's where we were heading anyway. So let's make sure we go there. All right, and let's see here. And now people say, why wouldn't I go to 410? Because we're not talking about luminaires. The question is about lighting outlet, right? So let's see here. But it also may be there. But let's go here. All right, here's lighting. All right, let's get to where it says lighting outlets. Let's see here. Lighting outlets right here. Now, you notice it says 210.70, but then you see 314. Well, let me show you how this can help you. If you're already code savvy and you've already been studying, and maybe you have our flashcards that we have available on our website where you're learning the different code articles and things like that, then you know that 210's branch circuit, and you know that you remember that 210.52 is receptacle outlets, and spacing and placement is the holy grail for residential, for example. And you know this is basically residential kind of question. Then you know that, I know kind of where I need to be, and you could have used bolt scanning. But here, I look at lighting out, I see 210. 210 is something you'll get familiar with, branch circuits, and it has the rules and outlet boxes for branch circuit, things that go in it. So you'll naturally draw there. You'll look at 314 and say, well, that's just the boxes in general, right? So you're like, well, that's too broad. But let me tell you what you do on an exam. Okay, you ready? What I do on an exam is I literally would write down 210.70, and underneath it, I would write 314.27a, and then I would write 410.36, and then I would write 410, and then just put part 3, just like that on my scratch paper or whatever I had there, because I don't want to go back here again, right? I'm already been here, okay? So, and that's the same way you would study. It's like done. Now, what else would take us back here? So outlets took us to lighting outlets. So that's not going to good. What other words? Wall switch. I'll look under switches and wall switch. I'm showing you all an example of how to use the index to study and how you should be doing it. Okay. Now, if you don't disagree with me, then you're more than happy to click off my channel and go somewhere. I've taught more people the National Electrical Code than I would say majority of people out there. So if you think I'm full of crap, then you don't know what you're talking about. I know what I'm talking about because I got success stories. I got emails, tons of posts, tons of testimonials. You know what I'm saying, homies? All right, so I'm just saying here. So I'm going to go down and look and see if there's anything under wall. I'm under wall. So I'm going to see if there's anything for wall switch. I'm just looking, and I'll forever know. All right, wall mounted ovens, wall cases. That's nothing there. Okay, so nothing there. So I'm going to look under switches. And I'm already in S's. Oh, I didn't share it with y'all, so let me share it with you. Sorry about that. I'm going to look under S's, and I'm going to look under switches. And I got switchboard. And let's see here, swimming. So let's see. Where are we at? Where's switches? Again, I got poor eyesight. Y'all know my struggle with diabetes. Here we go. Here's switches right here. So I'm just looking under switches and see if there's anything that might be beneficial to say anything about stairway, anything. That's what I'm looking for. So I'm just looking down to see if it says anything that would be germane. Okay. Germane to what we're talking about. Okay. Nothing. Nothing that I see. Nothing that I see. Okay. Snap switches. Maybe something under snap switch, but I doubt it. All right. But we could look here, appliances, fixture. Yeah. All right. So nothing under that, but I'm already here. So I'm like, well, you know what? Craps and giggles. We might as well look under snap switches just while we're here. Right. I mean, we're already here. All right. So I'm going to go look under snap switches. Let's see if there's anything under snap switches. I can find the freaking thing. There we go. Snap switches right here. All right. So let's just see here. Anything under here that would be germane, general use, grounding, rating? No. Okay. So it seems to me that we pulled the ones that we pulled, the majority of what we pulled was 210.70, and I'm going to work in a successive order. Now, the key thing in this on an exam is now that I'm going to use these, I'm looking for triggers. Okay. So we picked out the keywords, we looked them up, we examined it. Now, when we go to the code, we're going to start by looking for triggers. And the triggers are going to be anything that mentions lighting outlet, anything that mentions floor levels, anything that mentions stairway, anything that mentions 4, 5, 6, or 8. Those are all triggers that you keep in your mind. On an exam, you have to remember that you're going to remember these triggers as you're looking things up. So the first thing that we're going to go to is we're going to go to right here, and we're going to go to the NEC, and we're going to go down to 210.70. All right. And you notice that it says right here, it says lighting outlet requirements. So already we know where we need to be. That we don't even need to go to 314 to 410 to whatever, because we know the question is asking about what? Lighting outlets, that type of scenario. So I'm going to click on that. All right. So now here's an example. So we'll use this as just like we did the other one. So that's how we use the index. Okay. So now I'm going to show you how to use bold scanning. So bold scanning is looking at the headers. Okay. And then bold scanning for things. This is exam trick. Looking for things that are in the answers and what was in the questions. Stairway, the riser, the word riser, the 4, 5, 6, or 8. Okay. And those type of things. That's what we're looking for. So when I scan down through this, I'm going to scan it. Okay. I'm looking for a reference. I see nothing in here about, number of risers. I'm just scanning additional locations, scanning down, right? And I'm looking, scanning, seeing what I see, right? You're just looking down and you're saying, okay, what do I see down here? Between floors, I see stairways. Okay, I see riser. I see all this in here. Okay. Wall-mounted devices. Again, a wall-mounted control device is a switch, but they don't say switch. Now, in the next code cycle, I think it's going to bring the word switch back. But anyway, there you go. So it's listed wall-mounted control device, a la a switch. But the reason the verbiage had to be this way, I don't know if y'all know this, but the reason the verbiage had to be this way, a wall-mounted control device, because it's not necessarily a snap switch. So we have other different modern technologies that would qualify, like I think they're called, what are they? Caseta. I can't remember what it is, but there's other different things that may be able to meet this requirement. Okay, so we have to make sure that the definition is broader to cover those other things, so it's not just a switch, a snap switch, or something like that. It's got a little bit broader, if you will. All right, but at the end of the day, here you see 6 or more risers, right? So that brings us back to the question. So obviously the answer 4, 5, 6, or 8. The answer is obviously 6. And that was the answer. Okay, it didn't let me see what the question was. Okay, I should have hit the reference first. So let's see if I can't. Let's see if I can't go back here and do it. If it won't, hold on here. Let me see if I can't go back. Okay, yeah, there we go. All right, we're back here. All right, so if you click the reference, you'll see it's 210.70A23. Okay. Now, the reason that didn't give me the answer is because this is part of the 3 databases that's going to give you the answer at the end when you're done. Okay. So, what I tell people, I recommend, for example, I'll show you the whole database really quickly. Here's what I recommend that you do these. Here's all of the sample questions. And then here's the exam ones down here. There's 3 of them. These are the ones you dissect right here. And these are the 3 that you actually will actually time, just let the regular timer run if you want, that type of thing. But when you're dissecting and practicing, you definitely want to do the samples. Okay. All right. So anyway, where were we? So let's go. So we answered this question. So obviously the answer is 6. So there you go. All right. So let's dissect another question because people ask about, dissection is incredibly important. It's a skill you need to be able to understand how to read a question, find the key things, because not the index in the NEC is not the holy grail, guys. There's a lot of people that will go take an exam and they feel like they're relying on the index and to do it. That is not, you're not prepared. If you're going into an exam and that's what you're doing, is you're thinking, well, I'll put it off and I'm not going to give any. So people ask me, what is my study procedure? What do I recommend to study? Okay. For any exam, whether it's a inspector's exam, it doesn't matter because inspector's exam, whether it's a ICC exam or not, it's based on the NEC, even though the level 1 or the first one they do, E1, is using the IRC, but in the IRC, there's a cross-reference guide that references the NEC. So they're fairly close. They're just in different, like E3205 versus what the NEC. I still tell people to study for those exams to study the NEC. The reason for that is even when you're looking at the question, you can use the dissection to find the answer in the NEC, and it's going to be the exact same in the IRC in the exam. It's just going to be a different reference. So there's not a whole lot that the IRC changes. Now, that's not to say a local state, okay, a local does it, that does something differently, but not typically for the ICC exam. It's going to be based on the NEC. It's just you can use the IRC to do it and use their electrician section, or you can use the whole NEC. And sometimes people get overwhelmed if they use the entire NEC when they're doing it, because the IRC, it's all right there in one chapter. The problem with that is now if you ever want to take the E2, then the problem with that is you don't use any of the ICC documents for that. You use the NEC. So I'd much rather train you in finding things in the NEC than to try to train you to find things in an IRC. You get what I'm saying? I'd rather prepare you because I know that you're not going to stop your journey. You're going to want to keep learning, that type of thing. Okay. So, all right. So look at, Paul's already started answering this question. Ronald most certainly did, passed his master's exam in, Michigan. Congratulations, Ronald. I did get your email and I replied back to it. Again, congratulations. Ronald has been a loyal member of ours for years. I can't even begin to tell you how many products that Ronald's probably bought from us, whether it was back when it was the old style that we used to use or the new emulated style that we use today. He's been with us a long time. So and Michigan's not an easy exam. So congratulations, Ronald. It's amazing. Yeah. And I love it, folks, when you send me anything, and I have old students that have been mine years ago. And you remember, I've been doing this for a long time, decades. I got an email from one of my old students the other day who started his own business, which that in itself is amazing. But he just landed a project that was a multi-million-dollar project. And he just felt the desire to call me up and well, he didn't call me. He sent me the email. He wants to connect, but he sent me the email, and it was an amazing story, success, and the projects that he is doing now. And I'm like, dude, your life totally changed. So anybody out there that's a journeyman or an apprentice who says, you know what, my company doesn't care whether I get my master's or my license or my journey, they don't care. It doesn't matter whether they care. It's how you care. And in this profession, I just think that we should treat this profession. This is why I can't stand things that people do on TikTok. I get it. This is why I can't stand some of the social media stuff. It's because I think that we should be elevating this profession to the level it needs to be. That way, it encourages young people to want to get into this trade. Now, yeah, with any trade, you're going to start out at the bottom. You're going to not make greatest money, but I can tell you right now, the problem we have in this trade, you ready? Is all of those wokeness out there who wants to bring minimum wage up to $20 an hour, because electrician apprentices aren't making that, because it's hard to make that on a job starting out, right? And so what happens is you take some young guy and he goes, why the hell do I want to work my butt off lugging conduit all day and working in the hot or working extreme cold when I can just go to McDonald's and get a job for $20 an hour because that's the minimum wage. The difference in the two is one is a career path. The other one is just limbo land. You're not going to make a career out of flipping burgers at McDonald's, even at $20 an hour, if that's what they went to a rate. You're not. Do the math. Whereas an electrician, you can work from a helper or an apprentice to a journeyman, right? Up to a master, to own your own business, to do a side hustle that can bring in extra income for your family. You can transition into specialty areas, whereas maybe just smart homes, or maybe you want to join SIA and become an energy expert and work in that type of thing. And or maybe you want to open a division that does thermal imaging for electrical and getting specialized in that. Whatever you want to do, the sky's the limit once you learn the trade. And that's what I think that some people aren't understanding out there. It's not, now, as a struggling apprentice or a journeyman or a helper, does that mean you may have to do some side work? Does it mean you might have to do some, take a part-time job, right? Absolutely. You may have to do it. My son called me the other day. He works in pool industry, and he's working his way up. He's learning. Hopefully, one day he wants to own his own pool business. I will invest in him, even though he's threatened to kill me in the past. I will invest in him once he puts his time in. And when I say by time, I want to make sure that he's truly committed to the industry that he chose. And he's 26 years old or 27. I can't remember. That's sad, but again, we don't stay in touch that much. But he did reach out for some advice, which is strange because he never wanted it growing up. But now, full circle, he wants dad's advice. They never listen when they're younger. I guess this is what it is, I guess. But at any rate, I gave him advice. I said, listen and learn and do everything you can, and don't be too humble to go and do a side job, working at a convenience store or whatever, to put some extra money in the bank to save for your family. He's got a baby. He's got a little baby. He's a 1-year-old baby, which I've never seen, by the way. Never met yet. Never seen it. Don't feel sad for me, because again, that's by choice. He did threaten to kill me, so. But he did, and so he doesn't know where we live. Not too hard to find me, but you know what I mean. So at the end of the day, and it's by choice. So don't go, oh, I'm sorry to hear that, Paul. No, it's by choice. Trust me. But I did give him some advice: learn everything you can, and don't be too humble to do a little side work in order to keep your dream alive. Keep going, keep going. This is a noble trade. And I hold it up there in the same high esteem as lawyers, although that is kind of tongue in cheek. But they do have to go through a lot of training. Well, so do you. You do too. And you have to learn an awful lot. So when you F around or mess around on job sites and screw around or post stupid crap on social media that's stupid, all it's doing is undermining you. So I don't, I just say treat it with the pride. Frank says, my son left the trade. He was 20 and an apprentice, and In and Out offered 24 plus hours and free meals. Yeah, it is hard to compete with that, right? But the difference is he looking at it as a career path, or is he looking at it as a short-term gain? Everybody's different. For me, I could not leave it in order to get the free meals in 20 because that's a short-term site. I'm looking at what I'm going to end up when I'm later. So if I'm 20, I want to know where I'm going to be when I'm 25. I want to know where I'm going to be when I'm 30. Am I still going to be flipping burgers at an In and Out, striving for that free meal every day? No. I'm hopefully going to be. Now, what skills I learn, unless he wants to go into the food industry and own a restaurant or something like that, and then he's got to look at it. Is that even a viable opportunity? Do they have the money? Are you going to invest in him? Is he going to be able to buy a franchise? Well, probably not today. Because if you look at most of the owners of the food industry, they're owned by corporations or other people that have money. It's very rare does somebody that works in there, very rare. I'm not talking about a Dave Thomas or back in the day when it was possible. Today, with the cost of everything, there's no way that you're going to start out flipping burgers and the next thing you know, own an In and Out. It's not going to happen. So that's our struggle, is getting the young people to understand that you got to put your time in. But it may mean that you have to work extra work. It may mean that you have to work a side job. It may mean that you have to work some part-time hours at night. It's just what you got to do to be successful. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, all right. So in this question here, it says to determine the minimum lighting loads for specific occupancies. It says the floor area of each floor shall be calculated from the blank dimensions of the building, dwelling unit, or other area. Okay, so what does this look like to you and me? This looks like the start of a calculation. And this means that, okay, this is telling me that I'm going to have to determine the lighting load. And we know that that's based on a calculation, most notably Part 3 or Part 4 of Article 220. So this doesn't take your going into the code book that much to do this. This is just one of those things of going, where does my calculation start? Whether it's branch circuits in Part 2 of 220, whether it is the regular method under Part 3, or it's optional methods under Part 4, those have to do with calculations. And by the way, in the 2026 edition of the NEC, that's going to be moving to 120. Right now, it's in 220. Okay, so that's the kind of thing that my mind pulls us to. All right, so if we were to go to the NEC and I were to say, okay, so Paul said that this is kind of going to put us in the calculations. Right here, it says right here at 220, it says branch circuit feeder, and service load calcs, and it's broken into parts. Right, part 1 is just your general info. Okay, part 2, right, is your branch circuit load calculations. And it's asking me a load calc. And we all know that Part 3 uses information that is gathered from Part 2 to help do its calculation, right? There you go. Yep, Santana, I currently have a part-time job at a custodian. Absolutely, brother. And you know what? Dude, I don't know how to express to you that when I talk to people out there about these type of things, if you have a passion to want to be something in this trade, whether it's you have more opportunities in the electrical trade, whether it's your own business, lead somewhere, side businesses, maybe doing electrical inspections, maybe doing thermal imaging. Maybe you want to add that to your repertoire, or maybe you want to just do service work. The easiest way to get started is service work. And I show you how to blanket your actual, and actually I have a course that's coming out in the next week about that and how to blanket a neighborhood step by step. Follow rules. If you follow my rules step by step and do what I tell you, that's going to be a course that's available on our website. It's basically about the Zig Ziglar approach to sales, but I'm going to break it down. Neighborhood approach, grassroots. You've heard me talk about it forever. That is the quickest way to side hustle. That is the quickest way. And yes, it means you got to invest in some door hangers. Yes, it means that you have to do some legwork, but it pays dividends if you put in the time. And it's side work. You'd be sitting idle anyway. So, but in your case, when I was growing up, I always had multiple jobs. Shit, I got multiple jobs today. I work as the director of technical services for Encore Wire and Prismium. I run the academy. I oversee the CMECP program. I help work with Jeff to develop in Trade Hog. I'm writing courses. Dude, I'm negotiating deals for SIA. I never sleep, um, but that's by choice. And I never stop hustling. So I'm glad you brought that up because my son was like, I don't want to work another job. I'll take time away from the baby. Look, I know people say, I've said this before. Family always has to come first. Back in the day, I probably could have spent more time with my family, although we did do our week vacations every year, and I was always home for dinner. I was always there. But for the many years, I felt guilty saying that I put my career ahead of my family. And you've heard me say it. In retrospect, I don't think that's the case because I was always home. I was always there. I wasn't out doing my own thing. Everything was for my family. But it also meant that I worked for my family. So that's noble. The fact that you can work during the day. So I remember when I started my contracting businesses, I left my brother. I started my contracting business. And I also opened up a boarding kennel and grooming salon for my wife. This was on an acre. We bought the property. Half the building was my electrical contracting business and engineering consulting. And the other side of the building was a dog kennel. That was professional boarding kennel, not breeding. Renting and a grooming salon. I had groomers and a wife and running that. And I was doing the other side. I had all this, but I also remember to make the ends meet. I actually would go out and if I had an electrical project and my guys couldn't get it done or a project that I just wanted to do myself, I would work during the day. I would go over and help in the kennel. I would do everything, come back to the contracting, keep in touch with guys. I'd go out in the field. But dude, I can promise you there were nights that I was up all night long hanging luminaires because the guys had got it to a point and I needed to get it done. And my wife would come out with me and she would be handing me things. She would be my helper. That's a team. And I'm so blessed for it. But I knew to make it successful, I had to work many things. And that's why I tell people all the time that for me, I don't think that my attention deficit disorder was a curse for me. In school, I was hyper focused on electrical, and it seemed to work out for me. But in life, the fact that I can bounce around things and give just enough time for this to keep it running successfully before I bounce into this, for me, I think it's been a blessing for me. So I wouldn't change it. I would never think of medication for it. Now, that's not the same for kids, and I'm not a doctor, but I'm just saying for me, I didn't need to be professionally diagnosed when I was a kid. I knew what I had. Everybody knew what I had. Everybody knew what I had. Right? Every time I got suspended from school, everybody knew because I was fun to be around, but I had a mouth on me and I was always a smart aleck. And I was, and my other friends hated it because every time we'd have an exam, I'd get hundreds. But I wouldn't pay attention in class or I'd goof off. And my other friend who had to work so hard to get his grades, he would say, "You drive me crazy." And I'm like, "Why?" He goes, "You don't even study. You don't even listen to the teacher. Okay, your English teacher, your math teacher, history teacher, and you can go in and take the exam and ace it." I'm like, "I hear them. I just don't care about what they're saying. But I hear them." That's the way I was, and so I don't know, but it helped me in life. So my point is, you're doing multiple jobs because you want to be successful and you want to feed your family. So you do what you got to do. So if anybody ever out there says, "No, I'd never do the woke today," and my son even said it, he's like, "Well, I don't want to take time away from my little baby. The baby's less than 1 year old." I'm like, "Dude, you better suck it up. You better suck." Maybe that's why he didn't like talking to me. I said, "You better suck it up." Because you know what? It don't matter how much time you spend with that baby. If you're always upset and in a mood or have zero money in your bank account and you can't do things for your family, then you're going to be miserable every day. So that time that you're spending with them becomes miserable because you have no money to spend. And sadly, people say, "Well, money doesn't buy happiness." They're full of shit. I'm going to tell you right now, if you say money doesn't buy happiness, you're full of crap. You don't know what you're talking about because happiness is a mental state. Okay. There are people that have nothing that are extremely happy. There are people that are rich that are miserable. It's a mental state. Okay. You have to put yourself in that state. Okay. I'm just saying, you choose to be unhappy. If you're having down and problems in your life that are keeping you down, then you need to be actively finding ways to fix it, to get to a state where you can be happy. But if you've got no money, there is no way you can, if you got a family, that you can sit there and not do a part-time job or do some hustle or do something to make some more money, right? You can't. It just doesn't make sense, right? That type of thing. Anyway, with that said, though, I will be adding the affiliate program. It's a totally different program, and it's only going to be for our courses, okay? So it's nothing else. It's just course, so look for that to come out, okay? Look at that. Santana, electrician from 6 a.m. to 4:30, custodian from 9 p.m. to 1 a.m., and 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. Spend time with the daughter, and 5 to 8. There you go. Yeah. Being broke is harder than doing the work. Yeah, no doubt, John. Let me tell you what, guys. I was young. People think that I didn't get my hands dirty. I got cuts. I got cuts from in the field. I got cut. Look, I didn't come into money. I'm not rich. I do okay. I worked my way up to be where I'm at in a large leading manufacturer and their technical expert by hard work, being an electrician. Nobody gave me anything. I work hard to learn the code. I work hard to teach people the code, right? You got to work up. So when you hear people say pay your dues, you do. But sometimes people are paying the hell out of their dues and they're just not getting ahead. That's when you have to take an investment of everything that's going on in your life and see because the old saying is that if you don't change what you're doing, if it's not working and you don't change it, you're destined to be doing what? The next day, the same thing, and it's not working. So we always have to take a self-evaluation and say, what do I need to change? What's got to be? That's why I'm always changing. I'm always bringing new stuff because it's just the way I'm wired. Okay. So anyway, I told my son, I said, look, you'll have plenty of time to have those moments. Okay. Here's what I told him. I said, you'll have plenty of time to love on them until they hate you. And I went LOL, and then he stopped talking to me. So I think he got the point. So at the end of the day, there's plenty of time, but you've got to work. You've got to build it. So you 20-year-olds, you 30-year-olds, you 18-year-olds, y'all don't know squat. Squat. The secrets of life is that you're going to learn what you don't know. And by the way, people are going to give you advice along the way. Listen to it, but don't accept all of it. Take out the important moments. Take out what means something to you. Because everybody that tries to teach you something is always going to give a little bit of their own BS into it. And they should not reprogram you. You be you. But there's always some lesson in everything that you can take away from it. And we just want to make itself better. Okay. One of my goals, I told people this before, one of my goals in life, and you may have the same kind of goal, is I wanted to be at a point in life. I don't want to be rich. I said I wanted to be at a point in life where I don't have to worry about where the next bill comes from, and it doesn't matter. Y'all get you get what I mean by that? Think about your goals. I could be this and I could be that. I want to be this. I want to be that. One of my goals was I wanted to get in a point in life, right, where I did not have to worry about the random bill that comes in the mail or that I get for something that happens. I wanted to get to the point where I didn't have to worry about it. And so if I want to buy 50 thermal cameras, right? And it costs me $5,000 or whatever it is, 10 grand, whatever it is, then I can stroke a check and not worry about it. You see what I'm saying? So, but not everybody's at that point in their life. But you want to get to that point in your life where you say, I'm ready for whatever comes my way. Then and only then do you understand what it means to be happy. And I'm not meaning happy because of the money. I mean happy because of the comfort, right? And that also comes with knowledge. For example, there are a lot of people out there that are running technical divisions, that are lead electricians, that when they get somebody come to them with a code question or something in the field, they stress out. They really do. They get, oh God, and they spend days. For me, learning the code as an electrician, because doing things, let's be honest, people tease me all the time, say, well, he's not a real electrician anymore. How many years do I have to install breakers, install switchgear, run conductors, run parallel sets, terminate conductors? How many years do I have to do this before you say, you know what, you probably, run raceways, run conduits, pull cables, before it doesn't matter whether I'm 50 some years old or I'm 20 something years old. Trust me, I know how to install a box. I know how to install a panel. I know how to install a breaker. I know how to troubleshoot. What makes you that comfort level is when you go beyond the physical and you start getting in the realm of the mental. And the mental is, I know why I install that breaker. I know why I size it the way I do. I know why these conductors are sized the way they do. I know why this engineer designed it this way and they should have done it this way. The no, it's not that's the thing that you get to a certain level in your career where, and some of you may reflect on that and you may go, I can install anything. Dude, there is nothing I can't install, right? Really, I'm not bragging. I might not be the fastest in the world anymore. And I hate when people are like, because I'm methodical. I want to make sure it's neat and right. But there ain't nothing electrical I can't figure out and do. And that took years of in the field training. But then there is absolutely nothing when it comes to the NEC or the safety aspect of it that I can't figure out, whether I know it up here or I know where to find it in the code book. And you know what that does to your stress level? That removes the stress. So if you're the guy on the project and they come to you and you know it, you're not under any pressure anymore, right? In fact, I tell people, always turn it into a learning moment. So let me give you an example. If I was a lead guy on the field and I didn't know it right off the top of my head, or I knew the code reference, right? And somebody came to say, Paul, I need to know where to find this. I'd say, okay, I'm a leader, so I'm a teacher. And believe me, everybody that's a leader on a project is a teacher. Every master should be a teacher. Whether you like it or not, you should be teaching people under you. That's how it works. That's supposed to be the ethics of how it works. Okay, don't try to guard any secrets. Teach people, okay? If you're good, it's not going to matter what you teach others. You're going to stand out because you're good. Stop being so self-conscious about it. So, and don't worry about things called imposter syndrome. You see what I'm saying? Imposter syndrome. That is where you project how good you are, but inside you internally fear that you're not as good enough. You got to get rid of that. You're good, right? And so at the end of the day, here's what I used to do to apprentices all the time. I don't know exactly where it is in my mind. I knew kind of where it is. I'd say, you know what? Let's get the code book. Let's take a couple minutes. Let's take a break, a lunch. Okay. Let's take a break. Let's take about 5 minutes and do this because I want you to learn. I grab the code book out and we find it together in the code book. We find it together. Boy, that is a moment. And that is one of the things that I used to teach my inspectors, whether they always did it or not, is like, look, you have a code book for a reason. If you're going to cite something and somebody doesn't understand it or they ask you a question, stop. Get the code book. Show them where it is. Educate them. The amount of respect that you're going to gain from that, you can say that it's not a fact. I'm going to tell you you're wrong because I've witnessed it. Witnessed it through my career. I would never share this stuff. Other people just want to sell you stuff. I would never share this stuff with you if I haven't lived it and been through it. And I can tell you, all of my apprentices would get lessons all the time. Okay? All the time. Because I felt like every time somebody has a question, it's not just so I can quote something out and make them think that I'm just snapping off a code. If it's a one-on-one moment, I would break the code book out and teach them and show them that type of thing. What does John say? Not just electric business. I also flip houses night and weekends and invest in medical marijuana. It's funny. I actually invested in a company that does used to do support investing for marijuana facilities, and I can't remember the name of it. I still got the stock because it sucks. I lost all my money in it, but I thought that that was going to be the next thing, that they were going to be the next ones that go around and fund all these medicinal marijuana facilities that couldn't get federal funding. So I invested in them because I thought they were private equity and they would have privately funded these because I believed in medicinal versions of it. And anyway, it never happened that way. It is kind of just tanked. And I can't remember the name of the company. That's how bad it is. It just tanked. You know, I still got the stock, thousands of shares, but it just tanked. So I just leave them because there's no sense in selling them. I might as well just leave them in there. So anyway, so yeah, John, you do what you do what you need to do it. Okay, and still raise your game in the electrical, and that's what you got to do. Okay, you just got to think. And also, I tell this to electricians all the time. It's not so much a side hustle. Get you a hobby that could make you money. Get you a hobby that doesn't feel like work, right? And you never know what it will blossom into, that type of thing. Okay. All right. So let's get back here. So here's this question right here. John, wrong company, Paul. I made bank when Canada legal. It was God, I wish I knew the name of the company, but they also do waste management. Okay, so they actually have stock in like trash collection too. So go figure, right? The CEO was named Billingsley. Billingsley. I should have realized when his name was Billingsley that wasn't going to work out well for me, but I can't remember. I can't even remember the name. It's so bad. Anyway, all right. So next one, it says to determine the minimum. Oh, we already did this one, right? So where do we find this in the code? Okay, so we went over to the NEC. And we're at Article 220, and we're just going to go to the general. All right, so 220, and we got here and this was asking about dwelling units and whatnot. So this we don't need. We're just going to look in general. So maximum load, okay, and electric load, okay, other loads, okay, other loads, okay. Looking at all this fixed assembly, okay, receptacle, blah blah blah, okay, all right, loading, okay. All right, so what are we looking for? We're looking to see what we want to do. So we're thinking, okay, we got to be at the beginning. We're too far in. So let's go back to the beginning. I got to get back. So that's the problem. I went too far. It doesn't have a clickable. There's nothing to get you to the beginning. You can't click this. Oh, yeah, it does. Does it? Yeah, it does. It goes back to the beginning. All right, so this is where I want to get the beginning calculations. So the voltage, yep. Okay. And then, of course, is fraction. And so in the 2023 edition, it's moved to floor area. Where previously, I believe it was in probably in the language in 220 probably 14, but now it's been moved to 220.5C. And the first thing I look at right here is it says the floor area for each floor is calculated from the outside dimensions of the building dwelling unit. That's verbatim from the question, right? So that type of thing. So back to the question, we know that it is from the outside dimensions. Okay. Now, if you didn't understand that for some reason, it didn't make sense. Remember, if you're not in the last 2 weeks, you're dissecting questions, then what would be dissectable in here? Well, let's see. It would be lighting load, maybe, or maybe floor area, maybe, or maybe it's calculations. So let's see if the index by chance would help us any. I don't know that it will, but it's worth a look, right? So let's go to the full here, and let's just say, let's go under, let's go under calculations. Let's just see. All right, so let's get here. Let's get down under, what do y'all think? Okay, so let's B. Let's see here. Let's look under cable. All right, let's keep going. All right, so calculations, it says Annex D. Also see loads. So it's load calculation. So it says see loads. That's funny. We just had this conversation, and rare cannabis oil. Yeah, that's funny. That's funny. All right, so let's go down to loads where it says loads. All right, let's go back up. All right, here's loads right here. Okay. Now it says branch circuits, calculations, Article 220, right there. So that would have sent me there. Let's just see if there's anything else here while we're here. Okay. We might as well while you're here. If you go to the index, let's see here. So now this is because this is what you learn. Branch circuits. Now you see these is offset. That means all of these pertain to branch circuits. So again, this allows you to go through and say, okay, so I think the question is about doing a calculation because it's trying to learn the lighting loads. Okay, but let's just go down a little further, see if there's anything else down here. Since we're already here. And let's see here. Okay, nothing really else, although it does say service calcs in 220. So that just reaffirms we're still doing calcs. But there's really nothing else in here that would give us anything. So I'm going to go with calculations. Okay. So 220. So that's what it got us here. And so we're going to be going to here. And that's where it got us here under calculations in 220. And that is where we saw the outside dimensions right there. And there may be other ways to do it. That's just one way to do it, right? So again. All right, let's get back to lessons. So here we go. So this one right here is obviously code reference 220.5C, and obviously it was outside. All right, there's your homework. So hold on, guys. I got a great one for you. Great one. I want to show you a change, an update we made. All right, right here. I just want to show you. I got to show you. So remember this one, the minimum size copper conductor for an overhead span up to 50 feet in length is blank, right? Y'all remember that? So y'all remember that I told you that Jeff was going to make an update to TradeHog, right? Remember y'all heard me talk about that yesterday? Jeff did make a change to TradeHog, updated its model, right? And so I want to show you that. So let's go real quick here. Let me go to the NEC here and let's go to lesson and let me show you just real quick and show you what we got going on right here. Let me share this. All right. It's not sized properly, so I don't want to do that. Let me not do this. Let me take you to the better tab so it shows up better. All right, there we go. Let's do this. So let's do this right here. Okay, so we're on the hog, right? And it has been updated. So you remember that question we had in there yesterday? Can anybody remember what the question was that it was sizing? That we wanted to. Okay, hold on here. What is the minimum size conductor for a 25 amp continuous load? Y'all remember that question we asked yesterday? All right, so I'm going to click the hog. I can't remember exactly the question. But look at the change we've made here. All right, so let's see here. We changed it even easier now to be a list format. Okay, so it even helps you even better in the field. Okay, so look at this. Just asking it a question. Maybe you're in the field and ask a question. And I'm going to show you something else real quick that's a neat trick. And again, let me adjust this real quick, guys, so you can actually see this better. Again, I'm always adjusting it on the fly. Sorry about that, guys. All right, so let's see here. So here you see it break it down, gives you the code reference, does the math, gives the code rules. And notice it says since it's 100 amps or less, 14 through 1, we use the 60 unless marked otherwise. Okay, choose proper ampacity from the column. Use 60 degree for NM or if the terminations are not rated higher. Ampacity, choose the size. So the requirement is 31.25 amps. A 10 gauge is good for 30 amps under 60, right? Okay, an 8 is good for 40 at 60, okay, which is sufficient for the 31.25 amps. So chooses, so we know that's got to be an 8 gauge, right? Now it says the overcurrent device, it pulls the reference and it looks at the code table, right? And the overcurrent protection device should be sized to the next standard size. So that would be, which is 35 amps, if that's a standard size. Verify conductor protection or whatnot, okay? And then, of course, it makes a recommendation for that, okay? So what we do is, now I'm going to show you, we fixed that, but I want to show you what I have them doing. Okay, I have Jeff doing on this because, again, I'm always tweaking it. I want to show you something else because I wanted it to constantly learn. Okay, so if we go to the full page, just to verify, we go here, and I want to share. Let's see here. I want to share. Yeah, I'm going to share this one right here. You'll notice that under the standard breakers, that a 35 is a standard breaker, okay? So I just wanted to show you that we are constantly updating the hog, okay? Let's see here. Paul says, I've evolved over my 31 years in business, started as a printer in 94, dyeing industry, and added signage to make more money, electric signs, up to my income. Absolutely. I bet they do. John says, did you guys see that video where they wanted to see how many 90-degree bends they could do a half EMT and still pull through it? It was 24 bends. Yeah. Violation of the code, obviously, but they wanted to see if it could be done. Yes. So that lets you know that the NEC is extremely conservative, but you have to follow it. Right. So anyway. All right, let's go on and get to some contest giveaways. Hopefully y'all got something out of the day. Hopefully it motivated you. Maybe not. Might have motivated you, might not have motivated you. I don't know. But at the end of the day, and I got a bunch of emails from you guys. Those that did participate, I appreciate it. Those that did not, shame on you. Because when I do a call to action, I really want you to be engaged. But we did get a call, and it looks like we're going to be, me and Jeff are going to meet this week before I head out to Chicago. And oh, by the way, well, it's over the weekend. So the only coffee hour that we'll miss is next Monday. We won't have a coffee hour. But I think we have an announcement next week, but we're going to meet this week and we're going to announce the new structure for coffee hour. And it may change to coffee hours, plural, but coffee hour is just a generic. But we'll also there's something else I wanted to show you guys in a second. But we will also we also changed Office Hog as well to make it better on the back end. So for those that have our premium or our basic, and you use the Office Hog to help write invoices, to write letters, to write emails, to sound more professional, that has been updated as well. So that's Trade Hog. And if I have to make a recommendation, if you get Trade Hog, I would do the annual membership rather than the monthly, because again, people hate that monthly reoccurring thing, that type of thing. But it's totally up to you. Whatever. The big change that we made for Trade Hog is the citation. So as you saw it, and I don't know if you saw it, hold on, I'll share it one more time. Hopefully you saw it. Is that here we're actually now giving code references where we can. Okay. So, and at the end it says, therefore, the minimum conductor for a 25 amp continuous load is an 8 copper, considering the 60-degree terminal. Dude, if y'all don't understand the concept of what it takes, you will not get that level of code reference detail on ChatGPT because it's too broad. We wanted to create something that was designed to bring it down for the electrician. That's it. Okay. That's what we wanted to do. Okay. And in this case, it wasn't a feeder under 225 or outdoors. In this case, it was just asking in general a branch circuit sizing. Okay. We didn't make any mention in it about it being outdoor, that type of scenario. Okay. So it's always going to assume based on what you ask it, that type of thing. But you could re-ask it and say, let's see here. Let's ask it. Let's say, what about if the branch circuit is outdoors? I'm just going to ask it. Okay. I don't know. We may need to train it more. See what it says. I'm interested. Because Jeff's probably watching. Okay. All right. And let's see here what it might say. Dealing with the outdoor branch circuit, considering such as installation type, environmental factors come into play. Let's discuss the minimum conductor sizing again for outdoor setting. Okay. Still a branch circuit. Okay. So those rules, are still going to be germane. It's not going to change. It's not going to shift to 225, I don't believe, because it really is just about the branch circuit. Okay, here it's reminding you it's not for outdoor use, but it's just using general terms, that type of thing. Okay, all right, and so same concept. It's reminding you about the installation type, that type of thing. So it has no need to pull in 225, right? So let's see here. Is there anything in Article 225 I need to be aware of? So this is another good reason to use it in the field because it allows you to ask additional questions, right? So I might ask it. And so, you know how they used to say a little knowledge is powerful? Yeah, you're the code guy. You're the people. You're the electricians. You know how to feed it. What did it say? Yes, 225 covers outdoor branch circuit convenience. Some key considerations is overhead, blah blah blah, clearances to be aware of, outside branch circuit requirements, disconnecting means requirements, yada yada yada, protection, yeah, conductor support, yeah, voltage limitations, yeah, 225.6. So it's giving you some addition. So this is building on to the one you already have, that type of thing. So it just reminds us there are some key points in Article 225 that should be considered. But for me and you, at the end of the day, it's still a branch circuit. So regardless of being outside or inside, 225 just adds additional requirements onto it. The real thing about the question is it simply wanted to know for the branch circuit how to do it. It doesn't matter whether it's outdoors or indoors. The branch circuit's a branch circuit. So you size it. So that's why it's very selective, and I like it that way. So I'm glad that it didn't come by. I'm glad that it did not dump. Okay. I'm glad it didn't dump my original thing and say, oh, you're right. Ignore this. That means the model's working properly. Okay. And so we love TradeHog. I think it's the best thing for in the field for anybody. And it is utilizing the level 5 now of the AI intelligence from OpenAI. The difference is we train it to be beneficial in the field, so you don't have all this BS fluff. But we give you the Office Hog on the back end to ask any questions you want. I can show you that real quick. Here's the Office Hog. And you dress him up, buddy. Look at him. He looks nice in this outfit. All right. So, for example, let's say I wanted to ask a question, an HR question, and I'm working in business. This is the hardest struggle for people. Let's see here. I'm going to ask it specifically. Say, I'm hiring a new employee. So watch. I'm going to say, what is the onboarding requirements for a new employee in Virginia? I don't know. I just ask it. So in other words, I'm hiring a new person. I want to make sure I follow all the rules so I don't get in trouble. All right, let's see what it says. What is the onboarding requirements for a new employee in Virginia? I'm just trying to show you how this works. And I'm also going to take this and ask it and show you what happens when you ask it to TradeHog. Look at this. Even brings back Virginia code sections. All right. It says onboarding, classification, an employee versus an independent contractor. Okay, ensure the work is classified correctly. Virginia follows the federal IRS codes using 20-factor test. Okay, it gives you the forms you need, and it even gives you the website to get the forms. It tells you the website to get the employee withholding form certificates that they have to fill out, the VA4 form. Okay, even tells you about that and gives you how to get to it. Dude, it gives you employee handbook acknowledgement, which is a document which everybody should sign, right? It gives you, if you have it talks about direct deposit authorization, new hire reporting, what you have to do in Virginia to let them know that you hired a new employee. Okay, so there is a website for that. workers' compensation notice, wage payment notice, okay, checklist, so that your people that work for you can go down and make sure they've done everything on this checklist so that they can actually keep this. You could print it, keep this. So I'm going to show you all a trick with an image here in a second. That's something we added. I'm going to show you also. So I'm just excited to show you this stuff. And so all this is here, but it works for anywhere. You can ask it anything like tax, like for example, here I can ask it, when is my Virginia, hold on here, Virginia state withholding taxes due for the third quarter, right? All right, watch. So I just ask it a question. See what it says. I actually know it's coming up, so. Whoops. All right, so here it says Virginia withholding due at third quarter, filing frequency. Again, I do quarterly. Monthly filers, your average withholding tax monthly. Quarterly, if your average withholding liability is less than 300, you file quarterly. Semi-weekly, if your average withholding is 1,000, due dates and quarters. Quarter covered the months of July, August, and September. Quarterly due or due. The due date for this quarter is October 31st. Monthly filers, the due date is due by the 25th of the following month, so it's due August 25th. Semi-filers, yada, yada, yada. So it just gives you some dates, but also gives you a link to the website that you can go check on it. Talks about the penalties. Don't ask me about penalties because I know all about penalties. So, I mean, that's just the office hog. Okay, now watch. That same question, I just want to show you folks. All right, now, let me show you this. Watch this. I'm going to copy that. All right, let's go back to the hog real quick. I want to show you something. So if I type this question in the hog, okay, notice that the hog, oh, that's the onboarding requirements in Virginia. All right, so you notice that the hog will give you the same information now. That was one update we did so that people can use the hog for everything. But the big difference is the hog is going to format it a little differently. Okay. All right. So let's see here. I'm in the hog regular. I'm in the regular one. And I'm going to ask it, what are the tax requirements for a new business in Virginia? All right. I'm going to show you again some questions why we did this for people. So we have now written the front one, okay? We have now written the front one here in the office, the front one, to bring back almost the same information as the office hog. The only difference is the office hog version is going to be a little more detailed around the office, but that doesn't mean the trade hog's still not going to bring back you relevant information. Why do we do this? Because people kept sending us emails saying, look, I want to just be able to get it straight from the trade hog. So you might be asking, so what's the benefit of getting the office hog? Because it answers things in a little different format and gives you websites and links, okay? This typically doesn't give you links, okay? Typically doesn't. So that's one of the big differences. It's a little bit easier for the back end people. But we wanted to make it so they communicated together. So we added an interlink where they communicate better. All right, now I want to show you something else. See this little feature right here? I'm hopefully it's going to work because I don't know if Jeff's got it turned on. But when you click that, right, you can go and add something. So hold on real quick. I'm going to see if I can't find something really quickly. Just bear with me. Bear with me while I do this, guys. Let me see here. All right, so I'm going to upload a picture, and I'm going to ask it to describe this. Can you tell me more about this image? And if the NEC applies. I just grabbed an image, guys. Out of it'll pop up. You couldn't see the pop-up, but I will. So I'm going to send it. Okay. So the image, it says this image shows a basic light fixture with an exposed incandescent bulb located in a ceiling or a wall. And it came back and gave me references in 410. I mean, yep, check it here. Safety requirements. So if I were to show it another image, let's see here if I can find one. If I had an electrical image that even more detailed, let's see here. Let me see if I can find something here, a photo that's a little bit better, because I don't know that I do. Let's see here. Y'all, I think y'all get the point. But let me see. This is something that we added. All right. So in this picture, I've got a difference between an LED and an incandescent luminaire. Okay. I think they're just a picture. It's just I had it for something I did. Okay. So I'm putting that in there. Okay. Can you explain this image? Okay, this is huge, guys. Watch. So it doesn't show the image in here, but you know what image is because you're the one uploading it. Okay, so it's not loading it here to save on bandwidth, but you know when you pick an image or you take a picture of a nameplate. Okay, and I'm gonna do that real quick while y'all are doing that. I'm gonna show you something. Hold on, guys. I want to show you this is powerful. I want to show you. Let's see here. Let's see if I can find, hold on, guys. This is going to be so cool for many of you. I just want to see if I can't find something here that I want to do. Hold on. Bear with me, guys. Just bear with me. I'm really going to show you something that's neat here. That's not what I want. Hold on, guys. Bear with me. I'm just doing this stuff on the fly, but there's something I want to show you. All right, let's see. Let me see if I can find a good one. All right, here's a good one. All right, let's see if I can save this. All right, guys, this shit's making it hard for me. I don't know why it's doing that. All right, let's see here. JPEG. Trust me, it's acting stupid. God damn it. Hold on, guys. When you want an image, you don't realize how hard it is to find an image that you want to use until you can't find it. Save image. There we go. Okay, let's do this. I'm saving this image. Okay. Okay. All right. So now let's see if I can do this. All right, guys, you ready? Okay, so watch. So anyway, I just did it. And the image that I originally installed showed two luminaires on the ceiling. Okay. One of them was an LED, one of them was an incandescent. And so I said, explain this image to me. Can you explain this image? And it says the image shows a before and after comparison of a lighting fixture upgrade. Before, the left shows a older dome style with a frosted glass and metallic trim. After, the right side displays a modern flush mounted LED with this sleek. Okay. This type of design can improve energy efficiency and aesthetics when replacing fixtures, ensure compliance with NEC 410. Do y'all not realize that ChatGPT does this, but ours is designed to be more detailed? Now watch this. You're in the field and you're an inspector and you take a picture of a nameplate. Now watch this. I'm going to take this picture and I'm going to say, can you explain the NEC rules of this image? Now, the image didn't look like it came out, so we'll see if this works. The image wasn't clear on my side, so it might come back and it doesn't show anything because I don't know if it's downloaded yet, but let's see what happens. So I took a picture of a nameplate of an HVAC, okay? It says this image shows the nameplate of an HVAC unit. Here's how the NEC applies. Minimum circuit ampacity. This is the minimum size of conductors applied to this unit. According to 440.32, conductors must have an ampacity not less than the MCA. Maximum overcurrent device. The maximum overcurrent is 25 per 440.22a. The overcurrent must not exceed the value of the protected equipment. Voltage rating. This unit is rated 230, 408, 208, 230. Ensure the supply voltage matches this rating. Compressor fan rating. The compressor's LRA is 12.4. The fan motor's FLA is 2.80. These values help to verify the correct size of the conductor, right? Now it says, watch. Can you explain how the MCA is calculated using the information on the nameplate for the manufacturer? Watch this. Do y'all not see how powerful this could be for you? In your pocket, $9 a month, $105 a year. I'm just saying. All right, look what it says. It says to calculate the minimum circuit ampage for an HVC, identify the rated load, which is 12.4. Identify the motor's FLA, okay, which is 2.80. That's the blower motor, the fan motor. Okay, that's the compressor, right? And it says right here in 440.22, it says the MSA is calculated 125% of the largest motor, FLA, okay, usually the compressor, and adds the FLA of the other motors. For example, largest motor, 12.4 times 1.25 is 15.5. Further, the motor's load, 2.28, that is 18.3 amps. Round to the nearest whole number, right? And so you're rounding. So MSA round up to the nearest whole number, which in this case is 18, right? As indicated on the nameplate. So obviously the point 3 they dropped. Let's go back to what it said. So the ML, and I'm not sure of the nameplate. Let me re-pull it back up for me, guys, so I can see the nameplate. Let's see here. Yep, minimum circuit amp has 18. So that's how they calculated it out. And then they round up. In this case, they round down. Oh, wait, let's do this. Wait a minute. Let's not take that for granted. Let's force the hog. Let's say, how come the nameplate is 18.0 and you show, right, 18.3, although we know that we can drop the 0.3, and the manufacturers typically do because it's up to 125%, right? It doesn't mean that they have to, it's so they're dropping the 0.3, but anyway, it doesn't matter. So in this case, I'm gonna go, how come the nameplate is, and you showing 3 and said to upsize? Which you will, I'll show you, okay? Now watch, always training the hog. It says, I apologize for that oversight. So let's see what it's saying here. 12.4, 2.8, blah, blah, 125% motor, 1.4, blah, blah, 1843 rounding. Typically, MC is rounded to the nearest whole number for practical purposes. Our manufacturers may specify MCA of 18, which is their internal calculation due to testing. Okay, the nameplate value is 18 that the manufacturer specified, which should be used when selecting the conductor sizes. She wasn't wrong. The manufacturer, the code is one thing. The manufacturer's nameplate is what you follow because that is the manufacturer's and they're restrictive and they're stating that it's 18, right? And so then they already told you on the nameplate, right? They already said, well, the minimum circuit ampacity is going to be what? 18. So it's got to be at least 18. So it's going to be more, but it's got to be at least the minimum circuit. It has to have at least 18 amps to be okay, right? So that makes sense. And then the overcurrent protection maximum is 25, that type of thing. Anyway, I think you get the point. Hopefully you get the point that the trade hog, we're constantly tuning this thing to make it better, okay? It's getting better and better and better every day. And we're fine tuning it. And so if you guys are using it, give us the feedback because we can train the model and upload things to it. But you see the new logic train that we added just yesterday makes it even better. Okay. All right, let's spin the wheel, give away some goodies. Let's see here. All right, let's go. added these hat pins to the wheel, by the way, folks. And if you're interested in our thermal course and you want to get our camera, it's on our website. You can't miss it. Just click the online store. A limited supply. Very limited supply. And it will be used in conjunction with our course. If you want to get the course now, the pre-launch of the course, it's on our website as well. Y'all saw how you got to find it. But later on today, we will make it available. But not all the images are added yet, and not all the videos are added yet. But for some of you, you want to get started early, reading the material so you can kind of absorb it, learn some of the terminologies. Then we want to make it available for those that want it, that type of thing. Okay. And somebody asked, does a camera come with the course? Absolutely not. You have to purchase the camera separate because you don't have to use our H128. You can use any brand you want. But I would not go with one with the lesser thermal viewing of 240 by 240 because then it starts to get pixelized. You need to at least be 240 by 240 when it comes to the thermal imaging part. Okay. All right. So Alberto V, you have got the ultimate coin. You're in the drawing for the ultimate coin. Congratulations. I am drinking Dr. Pepper Zero today. And it is good. Speak of the devil with Trade Hog. I think everybody's going to want Trade Hog. And Jeff is already working on another revision for Trade Hog, adding even more to it. There's a manual, big manual that he's uploading, but you got to do it one sheet at a time. It's a pain in the ass, but he's doing it. So it's getting smarter all the time. Okay. I hope y'all recommend Trade Hog to everybody out there. If they send and ask questions, your apprentices, they can get a lot of their stuff answered here. And now that we've even enhanced it with code sections and making it very clear, I don't know anybody else I don't know of any other tool that does that. Chat GPT is great. Don't get me wrong. It is great. It's worth the money, but it's not specifically tuned in to use in the field. And so there's a big difference. Okay. All right, Charles, you are in the drawing for Trade Hog. And we also should get all those that sent your thing about you won the Trade Hog over to winner. We should also be getting that set up today. So look for an email. I believe Jeff's setting those up today. Sorry for the delay, but we had to get it ready, backbone, that type of thing. Okay. All right. That's it for that one. Let's spin again. Dude, that thing is getting me dizzy. Look how quick that sucker's moving. Josh is right. Trade Hog and Fast Tracks 2, ultimate win. Oh, don't forget, Josh, add in there the Fast Tracks course. All together, boom. Damn, Alberto, a double whammy for you today. You're in the drawing for the grounding and bonding course, which is, by the way, the best grounding and bonding program out there, period. Another great product to have in your pocket. Doesn't expire, and it has the best grounding and bonding illustrations, period. Okay, I'm just saying. It gives you pictures of panel, the grounding electrode system. It gives you details, notes, tips. It's, grounding and bonding is what people struggle with. How many questions do I get from people that ask about, do I have to bond a raceway? What about FMC at a transformer? What about a metal box? What about switches? And I got a course that will answer all of that for you. And it's logically set up by code section. It's like a reference guide in your pocket, bro. And it has the interact feature so you can ask questions. Can't beat that, can you? All right, Alberto V, you're on a roll today. Let's spin this wheel again. I'm excited about Vince coming next month. Gonna be here in the studio. Good time. Rob Thompson, you are in a drawing for the Ohms wheel coin of your choice, journeyman, master, whatnot. And we even have a Trump coin if that's your flavor. All right, let's spin again. One more. I'm giving you as many chances as I can, so don't y'all ask me to come back and spin again. No, Frank, I do not. First of all, I don't even know how to. I'm not very good at it. I let my 401k, I let Prismium decide, and as long as it's making money and I'm not losing money, I'll let them go with the base, whatever the growth stocks. I don't know anything about 401ks. And as far as life insurance, I only have it through the company. I don't have a separate life insurance. My life insurance for my wife is the fact that I have enough money in the bank that she won't have to worry about working the rest of her life if something happens to me. That's my life insurance policy for her. For me, I don't care. That's all you really get life insurance for. When you've got a certain amount of money in the bank, life insurance policies don't really matter. She's got enough that she'll be okay. All right. Plus, she's 70 some years old, so she's older than me. All right. So, Jeremy Williams, you are in the drawing for the voltage drop card. And that's what it looks like right here. There's your voltage drop card. It's thick. This is not those flimsy things. This is thick. This will last in your wallet like a credit card. Okay. That's all we do here. That's how we roll. All of ours are thick. Okay. Any of you gotten any of these? Can you attest to these things are thick? This isn't that cheap ones that some people out there sell, right? That's because they get them cheap. These cost 3 times as much for the little cards because they're thicker. They last longer. I have a special vendor that I like to use for that. So you're in the drawing, Jeremy. You didn't win it yet. You're in the drawing, which comes at the end of this month. All right. All right, folks, let's get back to me. Actually, enough of the lesson. All right, folks, hopefully you got something out of today's lesson. Again, rambling. I'm telling you that, let me give you a little update on where I think we're going. I think that the meeting with Jeff this week, I think we're going to go to 1 time a week for the coffee hour. And it's going to be a more structured show. Means it's going to have segments. Okay. Alberta says, I like my girls thick too. At my age, all I can get is thick girls. None of the young girls would have anything to do with me. So again, I guess it's all relevant, right? So anyway, besides that, although I do love, so let me tell you some girls I love. All right, you ready? Okay. Over on TikTok, there's this one girl. There's this one girl named the sandwich girl that makes the sandwiches for people. Adorable. If I was 40 years younger, but yeah, I have no interest now. But if I was 40 years younger, and my wife gave me a hall pass, that's what it would be. The other one is this girl that's on there named Ruby. She's a bit persnickety, but she's gorgeous. Okay. And I joke, I say, if I was 40 years younger, dude, I was ugly as hell. 40 years younger, they still wouldn't have anything to do with me. So again, I'm just saying. But those two are some pretty girls on social media, that type of thing. Okay. But anyway, I am sure that I'm sure that they've been worn more times than a rental dress for prom night. But at the end of the day, still good to look at, right? All right, so there you go, folks. If you're interested in our thermal course, all that's on our website. You'll see much more announcements come out, okay? And that type of thing. So the sandwich girl? You know her? Catherine or Katharina or whatever her name is? She's a cutie. All right, anyway, till next time, folks, stay safe. God bless. Stay focused, laser focused. If any of you are preparing for an electrical exam, use these techniques I gave you. Study and be patient, okay? And you're going to get it. You're going to achieve all your dreams. And we love seeing you here. But it looks like we are going to go to 1 time a week, but I got to get with Jeff, that type of thing. And at the end of the day, let's all be good out there. Take care. God bless.